It's been 4 years of Zion Williamson at Duke basketball, and despite his slow start, it really seems like he's picked up the pace recently. The basketballer, standing at a whopping 6'6" and weighing 285 pounds, has really amped up his stats. We can't wait to see what's coming next. In today's video, we'll be getting into Zion's stellar defensive play and how he could elevate his team to contender status. So let's get right into it.
Joe, we're at practice every day, and you see it, Zion working on this shot with Teresa Weathers.
Coming up first, Zion Williamson gets defensive. With a 5-game winning run, the New Orleans Pelicans are currently number 1 in the Western Conference rankings and have the NBA's longest active winning streak. Brandon Ingram, a former Duke basketball 1-and-1, is out with a toe injury, but Zion Williamson, another Blue Devil, has really proved himself during this season. His game has improved spectacularly and developed on both ends of the floor. Seems like he's really been putting in the hours at practice. The Pelicans are alone at the top of the Western Conference rankings after defeating the Detroit Pistons at home on Wednesday night, 104-98. Williamson has averaged 28 points, 9.8 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.8 steals, and 1.6 blocks over the team's 5-game ascent to the top while shooting 65% from the field. To slow down the 22-year-old turbocharged tank in the zone, defenders have inevitably turned to fouling. We can't say that it's worked out every time, though. This is the first time Williamson has tried 10 or more free throws in 4 straight NBA games, as ESPN's Andrew Lopez noted in a tweet. Unfortunately for the opposition, Williamson made a career-high 72% of his free throw attempts this season. Even though Williamson went on to miss the free throw, it still made for a hilarious highlight moment.
Powering through, can't get it to go, but he gets his own rebound. Strong with the finish.
Up next, not even a bear hug can stop Zion. Pistons shooting guard Corey Joseph learned that there's just no stopping Zion Williamson, even with a big old bear hug. In the first quarter of the Wednesday night game, the agile Zion Williamson delivered a one-and-done bucket around the rim, despite Joseph pulling all the stops to prevent it. Still, Zion was unable to escape a bear grip from the 6'11", 265-pound DeAndre Jordan 3 days earlier, in New Orleans' 121-106 victory over the visiting Denver Nuggets. As a result of the obvious foul, he ended up making one of his 2 free throws. Marvin Bagley III, the starting power forward for the Pistons and a former Duke basketball standout, struggled against the Pelicans, recording only 2 rebounds and 0 points in 20 minutes of play. Now, for how Zion can elevate the Pelicans to contender status. The rest of the Western Conference should be mindful of Zion Williamson's return if his recent plays provide any indication. The Pelicans were a well-liked sleeper choice going into the 2022-2023 season for a breakthrough year. In such hopeful predictions, Williamson's return had an important role. Williamson was the number 1 overall choice in the 2019 NBA draft and possibly the most highly anticipated talent since LeBron James at the time. Williamson missed the whole 2021-22 season due to a foot injury, so it was uncertain how vital he would be right away. Still, New Orleans performed admirably even without its top player to establish itself as a club to watch as the new season approached. The Pelicans made a bold move to add versatile forward Larry Nance Jr. and explosive scoring guard CJ McCollum to a developing group well-suited for its franchise cornerstone in 2022, despite being below .500 at the trade deadline. Now, for what does the future look like for the Pelicans? The Pelicans gained direction for the future with the addition of McCollum and Nance to a group that was already full of promising talent. Some of the members included all-star forward Brandon Ingram, powerful center Jonas Valanciunas, and promising young players like Herb Jones and Najee Marshall. Maybe it was unintentional, but it seems like the Pelicans have assembled a tough and determined squad that's poised to make a bid for the playoffs right away. New Orleans finished the season with a 14-14 record and made it into the play-in round, where it would later succeed to defeat the Spurs and Clippers to gain entry into the real playoffs. The Pelicans forced a 64-win Suns team to 6 games before being eliminated in the first round, establishing their position as the best young core in the NBA. We've barely seen the Pelicans play at full strength, but they're already taking their spot as the best all-around team in the NBA. Plus, Zion's acrobatic stunts make the crowd go wild. Many people are of the opinion that when Zion's in full form, he could really push his team to all-star status. We guess only time can let us know, but we're really enjoying the show. Up next, the dunk that angered the Suns. Even casual NBA fans know that players don't do flashy dunks or attempt late threes when a game's already won unless they want to make a point. So Zion must have really wanted to make a point. With just 18 seconds left, his teammate Larry Nance scored a layup to give the Pelicans a 9-point lead and spite the Suns, who'd already lost. Williamson then delivered the monstrous slam, even though the game was ended, dividing the NBA. The former NBA player and commentator Antonio Daniels watched on in horror, saying, "No, no, no." He also added that this was how rivalries start, since Nance had even shot a layup before Zion made his dunk. Let's learn more about the dunk that divided the NBA. At the close of the game, the New Orleans Pelicans were almost certain to win. Zion Williamson apologized to the Phoenix Suns over his 360-degree one-handed slam dunk. The entertaining play ultimately showed Williamson's ability to move past the failures of prior seasons and stay true to the high hopes that followed him to the NBA. Williamson finished the game with a season-high 35 points, and the Pelicans defeated the Suns 128-117 on Friday night. The game featured the top two teams in the Western Conference. The Phoenix guard, Cameron Payne, explained why the Suns weren't too happy about Zion's flashy dunk. He said that since the game was over, there wasn't any point in continuing to play, and that it took away from the sportsmanship of the game. Adding on, he said that Zion was expected to do the right thing since his team was doing the right thing as well. A heated exchange took place afterward between the Suns and the Pelicans, where players and coaches began swarming around each other as officials did all they could to separate them. Even though the players were upset, the coaches tried to downplay the incident after the game. Suns coach Monty Williams said that the altercation that happened afterward was just a part of basketball. Willie Green, who coaches the Pelicans, had to be held back by the assistant coaches. Later, he said that it was nothing major. Well, it seems like things do get heated up from time to time in this competitive sport. Here's to hoping that all the team members are able to make up. Moving on, what Williamson had to say about his dunk. Responsible for the dunk that was heard around the world and breaking an unwritten NBA rule, fans were dying to know what Zion had to say about his actions. Speaking to The Guardian, Williamson commented that he'd simply gotten carried away because of the high intensity and stakes of the game. He added that since he was there to see the Pelicans after their loss to the Suns in the playoffs last year, the dunk ended up being a little out of character. Zion missed all of NBA's last season, which was also his third season in the NBA. Coming fresh after a long resting period and playing against the people that sent his team packing certainly seems to have stirred up some intense feelings from the champion basketball player. Last but not least, does Zion Williamson have anything to apologize for? Fans and basketball audiences are split on the matter. Some fans on the internet believe that Williamson need not apologize for anything. They're criticizing players like Chris Paul, saying that he himself is known for being a dirty player who's constantly whining to the referees. Many are calling out the times Paul has been under the spotlight, not for a good reason, like when he knowingly elbowed Jose Alvarado out of frustration or when he kicked another player. Others are defending Williamson, saying that he was just trying to entertain his home crowd, as there's always a connection on the home court. They argue that there were no Suns players around him, so he wasn't trying to patronize anyone, saying that he was just doing his job as an entertainer and athlete. Since this incident, some fans are questioning the validity of the unwritten basketball rule and asking if it even makes sense. Some fans are even excited about the amped-up rivalry that will come in the aftermath of the free shots, saying that the NBA has become too nice and there isn't any old-fashioned beef between the teams anymore. That's all for today. Are you excited about Zion Williamson's trajectory in the world of basketball? Comment below and let us know. If you liked the video, make sure you click thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching.